fine. It might have stopped it. Stopped it. I can't get on.
What I was saying was, you know that little thing you have in your book bag that you use?
Audrey. Oh, I'm back. Great. Okay. Now. Okay, so you see what's going on. Sorry about that. They cut me off, so I'll let everyone get back on. If you know, try to let everyone remind them that we back on. As soon as we're about to address it, this will happen, but it's no problem. Okay. Roll back. All right. So now we have this form here. Now, this is for Nuwaupians, truth seekers, actual fact seekers, those that love, love information and getting clear sight to what's really going on. Don't be deceived by this here. This SF, it says Standard Form 181. This is what they're perpetrating and say, okay, you have to become. They're saying you have to become, you have to fill this form out. I'm looking for something else I had. Okay, it's right here. You have to, they say you have to fill this out in order for you to change what? What the Caucasian has labeled you, the system has labeled you. You have to fill out this form to correct it to them. Right. So I know it's a lot of talking about this form. I don't. What's puzzling? This is what's puzzling to me. And Nuwaupians, we have to learn how to defend ourselves, and to be able to defend false claims. Right? You have to be able. You have to be able to look at something, address it, dig into it, find out its origin, find out the authenticity, find out the author, and see exactly what people are trying to lead you into. Because it's really simple process. If you read it starting from the beginning, right, this ethnicity and race identification, it says, please read the Privacy Act statement and instructions before completing the form. Now, this Privacy Act here, right, this Privacy Act is under 42 USC section 2000E16. This is what these people are not telling you. And y'all need to make reference to this video so they'll understand that you're not fooling us any longer, because too much information is available. We're not dummies. We're not just, you're not going to leech off of Nuwaupians worldwide. You're not going to leech off the weak Africans in America, the indigenous who've been beat down and been trampled over by the European, and not only that they're looking for freedom, but you're trying to take advantage of them, trying to take advantage of their weakness, because they're searching for facts, they're searching for a way out. And so with these, we call them conscious community pimps or indigenous wannabe chiefs and people who want to play this authoritative role, they'll come up with anything like this. All right, yeah, I don't have a YouTube page, so anybody can post it. You have the right to post this on YouTube so they can see as well. But we're going to address this because this is hilarious. I mean, I would taking serious and taking the argument serious until I just read 2 pages of it and knew that this has nothing to do with Nuwaupians or Africans in America. And let me tell you why. Because the ethnicity and race identification, the ethnicity and race information is requested, right, under the authority. So right now, any person, that's the first line. That's very clear. Anytime, right, you fill this out, you're acknowledging that the authority in which is requesting this information, you're submitting to that authority. You're submitting to the authority that's implemented or placed under this 42 USC section 2000E-16, and you're in compliance. Now, that means that you're obeying, you're following the orders of who? In compliance with the Office of Management and Budgets 1997 revision to the standards to the classification of federal data. This has nothing at all to do with freedom. I don't know. What puzzles me is that people grab for straws. They grab for these things and they don't even read it. And it's like, oh, that Doosua is not allowing people to fill out. First of all, this is not something that I'm requesting. This is your master requesting it to identify yourself, who you acknowledge as whoever, they're pushing this ethnicity and race identification is for the Office of Management and Budgets, 1997, revision to the standards for classification. So all they're doing is classifying you, right? Classification of federal data. So they're just putting you, your name, your information inside a database of race and ethnicity. That's it. Period. There's no more to it than that. I don't know what people are looking for. This is not a form that says you're free, that we're not going to stop killing you, that we're going to stop, that we're going to allow you equal opportunity to get an equal footing in this country, that you're going to be able to have land and be able to exercise and speak your language and be able to exercise and practice your culture without interference from outside foreign agents or entities. That's not what this is saying. So I don't know where or how this whole 181 form has become such a paramount of freedom. And then people are using this. I seen a post on this sister's page. If you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. Fill out the SF181 form and then what? You go into a database. They know who you are. In fact, on this document, you have to submit a what? A social security number right there. Look at that. Social security number. You have to put your first and last name, your birth date, and it says agency use. So you're submitting and falling under the jurisdiction of an agency, the federal agency, a federal agency that's asking you for your social security number, which means that you have to be a citizen of the U.S. even to fill this out. You have to be a slave or they call it shadow slavery in order to fill this out. You have to be a part of their system in order to fill this out. You have to acknowledge the authority, them over you, in order for you to fill this out. So why are they pushing amongst Nuwaupians? You got to fill this SFW. This is it's ridiculous. I don't even want to use stupid because it's beyond stupid. Because if they feel like the devil, you feel like you can deceive Nuwaupians by saying this. Fill this out, 181 form, and you'll be free. It's ridiculous. So you can throw this in a trash can. Your whole, fake wannabe chief out there trying to claim you got to fill this out and you'll be free. No, he's a liar. He's a deceiver, and he's wasting your time. And again, yes, agreed with Jamar Milton. It's counterproductive. But not only that, I'm not done. This is just the first form. But I want to show you how this law right here, 42 USC. Section 2000E-16, right? This is the code here. And this is what it's for. Read this. This is for what? Employment by the federal government. People, really? This is if you want to get a job. This is for if you want to go work and get the mark of the beast in your hand and in your head. This is when you fill this document out. So they can say, oh, okay, we got one of their niggers. We got one of our, trailer trash. We got, they got this system that not only suppresses Africans in America, but it suppresses a lower class of immigrants and people who are seeking so-called freedom in this country, that in order to be identified, in order to work for them, you got to let them know who you are. That's all it is. So it doesn't say Freedom Act or Freedom for Indigenous Nuwaupians Worldwide or Moors Worldwide. It has nothing to do with that at all. So there's misinformation. You need to go to these people pages, right? Let them know, hey, this is for federal employment by the federal government. Let's finish reading, because it also allows you in areas of employment. It places in the database what companies or businesses have hired ethnic groups, and if you discriminate against them, right, then there's going to be lawsuits. The Justice Department has certain laws in place that does not allow you to discriminate against certain ethnic groups or races. And this is what this document is for, and to have in their database so they can make sure, one, that they hired enough ethnics. That's what it's for, because certain companies have to have equal hiring rights, and this is all in their federal statutes. And equal hiring rights, you have to say you have 50% diverse Native Americans, Africans in America, Chinese, European, Spanish, whatever the case. There's laws set up that there's not those discriminatory actions or hiring practices in corporations that hire specifically Europeans or the ones that they like, or give opportunities to others of a minority classification. So that's all this is. This is for a nigga that wants to get hired by the federal government. So tell your Sinshaka Shibael guy, right? Tell him that that's all this is for. So stop trying to use that as a way to deceive people by saying, once you fill this out, you'll be free. I mean, Ray Charles can see that this is an equal opportunity commission, enforcement powers, an issuance of rules, regulations, annual review, and approval of national and regional equal opportunity plans, review, and evaluation of equal employment opportunity programs, and publication of progress reports, consultations with interested parties, right? Compliance with rules, regulations, contents of national and regional equal employment opportunities plans, authority of who? Librarian of Congress. This is Legal Information Institute, Cornell Law School. You can pull it up, right? When you pull it up, you'll see this same code, right? Where it is? Oh, right here. This same code, and let me show you also. Exactly. This document is done for Destroy Our Nation. Now, let me show you something else, just for the record, right? I want you to know that next time you talk to these people about this 181, 131 form, 181 form, let them know this form is for use of who? Read that. Look my finger. What does it say? Somebody type it in there. Type it in the comment so you can see. This form is for what? Use by current federal employees. Come on, people. Really? I got to do a whole hour update because you want to accept that the 180 form is going to free us from 400 years of abuse, one page, and we just discovered. So he's smart enough. This guy, Shibuel, is smart enough to find a page in a federal mandated uses by the Federal Management Company. Well, let me make sure. The Federal Personnel Management Guide to Personal Data. Thank you. Right? Sakar. So this document right here, out of all the information that Dr. Malachi York has put out in the last 40, 50 years, 30 years in reference to our freedom, this guy comes along and shows a document for federal employees and says you have to fill this out in order to be free. And it specifically says it's for federal employees only, for data use, to make sure there's equal opportunity for hiring. So basically he wants you to go work for the Caucasian. He wants you to take your so-called indigenous status and go fill this out so you can be employed by the Mukasu. He's a fool, period. And I'm going to tell him he's a fool, and I'm going to say it enough times on this update so you know. Go call that guy by what he is, a fool with a bunch of pigeon feathers on his head. And I said it, all right? So when you finish reading it, it says, finish reading. I'm going to go through the whole thing because we're not going to leave no stone unturned. All right? So it says, except as otherwise provided in this subsection, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, this is what it's for. It's going in front of commission, shall have authority to enforce the provision of this subsection of this section through appropriate remedies, including reinstatement and hiring of employees. Right? Okay, here we got another guy, Anthony Wright. Bro, y'all, okay. You got a little naysayer on here. Y'all need to shut him down. I don't know who he is, but he's a he sounds like he's one little infiltrator trying to play a role. But we're going to ignore you. Sit back and learn something, young man. Okay, now you're going to be responsible. This is responsible for the annual review and approval of a national and regional equal opportunity plan, which each department of the federal government and agency and each appropriate unit referred to in subsection. This section shall submit in order to maintain an affirmative program of equal employment opportunity. So this nigga wants you to go get a job. That's what he wants you to do. Go work for the federal government and then claim, once you fill it out, you'll be a part of equal opportunity status, so you can, further build up their system that's been suppressing us for 400 years. So by all means, go fill it out so the federal government will have your data in their database, and to make sure that you don't get trampled upon by the European when you go make him his coins. Period. That's all that's about. So I'm not even going to address this no more. It's out of here. Toss it. Done. All right. So if that's all if that's all. Okay, so can you tell us a legit way to get in tune with the nation? I've been getting the runaround. Okay, Prince, no problem. You in the right place. Obviously, that feather guy has an agenda. There's no stop. Exactly. I appreciate everybody. Start with the exactly. So the people who comment, we have family members supporting the comment. So the brother that just asked the question, look in the comments, and you get the proper information in there. So I'm really just having fun because yesterday, we had the video, but yeah, penguins. He done picked those penguin feathers. It was falling all off. The little feather that shoots off. He painted it a little bit at the ends with some Crayola crayons, and strapped it on his head and sat in his little dusty room and tried to pick apart our, and come at us in a negative way. But I'm getting ready to show a different side of Nuwaup when it comes to the embassy, to show you how effective and what the type of information that we're doing. Right here, right? Let me just show y'all right here. Here is, if you see it, let me get this. This is my smoothie. When you see this right here these are our ledgers, right? These about 30,000 ledgers here for our nation, right? You see this? All of these are, right, as you can see, ledgers for people who have acknowledged us and took their oath as a citizen to be a part of our nation. All right, so don't think that Nuwaupians are just a little small group that you might see in your city. No, by all means, this is worldwide. These are Nuwaupian nationals. All of these signatures of affiant of people around the world, right, who have taken the oath to be a part of our nation. And these are the people that will have the opportunity to come to Africa under our passports, accepted by West Africa, to travel there and be returned home under a repatriation program that we just signed off with over 15 nations. And this is in effect now. Look at this. This is all Nuwaupian nationals, signatures, the Republic, everybody here. So these are all the documents. People's like, what happened to all the documents over the years? But these are it right here. No fret. These are all of here. You see? All right. So you see our stamp, United Nuwaupians. You see the stamp there? Let me slide this over. Sorry. Right here. You see our stamp, right? Okay. Seals. Everything is documented. We don't use foreign agents' stamps or seals. We have our own notary in-house, right? Notary sealed by our Notary Republic with our stamp there. They don't do this is state practice. This is what nations do. Nation building is totally in effect. So I just want y'all to see that. That's just a small portion, but it's quite a bit. So no Nuwaupians who did fill out their ledgers. You want to still get your ledgers in, you can. You want to say, well, you want to acknowledge yourself as a citizen of Nuwaupia and have the benefits and services of what our nation is under our president, Dr. Malachi York. That ledger as well acknowledges. Let me read it. I, such and such, so you can understand what it's saying, as a member of the United Nuwaupian Nation of the state of Nuwaupia, do hereby acknowledge and agree with the contents of the Constitution of the United Nuwaupian Nation since its implementation on June 26, 1992. I have accepted since that time and still accept today His Excellency Dr. Malachi York as my Makhu Chief, our President and Head of State. I hereby confirm that the information below regarding myself is true, and you fill out the name, put your information in it. That's one of the first steps. The second step, of course, is to obtain your United Nuwaupian tribal identification. It's an identifier. Okay, so contrary to what people think, it's not a contract. There's no contractual obligations. It helps you identify yourself to the world, and that's the purpose of it being. That was the purpose of it being the way it was done, is to identify our people. Why? Because once the exodus takes place, and it's coming, and the repatriation takes place, you'll see that right here into West Africa, you'll be able to land, and we'll be able to live in an environment where our culture is accepted and without prejudice, no division. There's no attempts to demolish or eradicate us as a people, which has been done for the last 400 years, even recently in 2002 with the arrest of our president, head of state, and consul general and diplomatic agent, Dr. Malachi York. But this is something that this is something that I wanted to show you. Now, this has to do with us Nuwaupians, and because of your patience, you've been right here. This is another document. This is a very important document. Now, this document here, as you can see, our seal here, right? This is constitutional articles. These are an international agreement, right, that we have with under Embassy of the United Nuwaupian Nation, right? And the International African Forum, DAF, right? International Diaspora Forum, U.S. This is an agreement that was signed by several delegates and officials in West Africa. As you can see, my name is here, right? Ambassador Dr. Doosua York, right? Chair of the International Diaspora Forum, right? Because I sit as the chair of the International Diaspora Forum here in the West, in this country, in the U.S. The Diaspora Forum is Africans worldwide who are looking and have interest in going back to Africa. And because our nation has led our people to a specific point of liberation and has connected them back to West Africa through the works of Dr. Malachi York, through the works of Padnabab Yanun, and reinstilling our blood link in our genetic line, we're the ones that Africa has looked at to say these are the people that are going to lead our people, lead Africans in the diaspora back home. And this agreement is the one that's responsible for all of those works in one document right here. And I'm going to read it for you so you'll understand why this document is important, what connects us to, and how it connects us to international, this international agreement and international, as an international entity, right? And is acknowledged as recognition with our nation. These signatures is an acknowledgement of us as a nation. It's an acknowledgement of us in our works and what we plan on doing, and it gives us the ability to work strictly with ECOWAS. And ECOWAS of 15 nations. This is a legal binding document that, nations, only real nations can do. A regular Negro from, whoever you're from, you can be, you can't just come up with and address international treaties or international agreements or address heads of states or other ambassadors without having proper recognition. And I know this is something that everyone was asking for so long. Are you recognized by the UN? Is he recognized? Is the United Nuwaupian? These questions are coming up, and I'm answering them. It's quite clear. All right. So this document here is specifically signed by us and the 15 ECOWAS governments, right? And it says, we, the undersigned, intent for the purposes of forming the International African Forum is to promote, right, promote a woven, multifaceted partnership with ECOWAS governments. Specifically, the city of Banjul, right? The Republic of Gambia, the city of Pambau, the Republic of Senegal, and its public and private economic actors, above all, community and social organizations having these purposes and objectives are of general nature and activities, but not limited to the following. Now, this is where the Nuwaupian Nation comes in, so you can see why everything has to tie in. It's a process. It's not something that's done A, B, C, you jump over and do this. That's not how it's done. It's a specific process in which nations are acknowledged as independent and moves in a specific manner. The components have to be there. You have to have a president. You have to have a administrative body. You have to have a secretary of state. You have to have a minister of justice. You have to have your congressional or your law, your legal, which we have our elders and our legal you call legal departments that are responsible for implementing our laws amongst our nation. So these are all the components of a nation. You have to have these in place in order for other nations to say they're on the right track, they're doing what they're supposed to do, and to be acknowledged as independent, which we are doing and is being done right now. And you'll see through this how it plays in. So we agreed, the Nuwaupian Nation and these 15 ECOWAS nations, right, that we would facilitate, promote, and exchange the correct and proper information with the peoples of the diaspora Africans, you all, us, Nuwaupians worldwide, and ECOWAS nations for the healthy continuance of the established relationship with ECOWAS, Senegambia, right? 2, to facilitate and promote, again for those, it's under our seal, again, this is our seal, international document. It says the next is where our freedom of Dr. Malachi York, right? Okay. It says 2, to facilitate and promote repatriation of. I can't really. Okay, I'll get to your question, Kenneth Lawton. 2, to facilitate and promote the repatriation of the peoples, us, and the citizens, Dr. Malachi York, of ECOWAS. Remember, he's a citizen of Liberia. He's a citizen of all these 15 countries. So they're going to promote and facilitate the repatriation of the people and citizens in the diaspora, Africans in the U.S., to their friendly West African ECOWAS nations to enjoy freedom, liberty within the territory of our Senegambian partners in order to boost tourism, trade, investments, and other economically beneficial enterprises created as such. That's 3. That's 2. 3 is to facilitate and render the proper services. Now we agree to render the proper services needed for our people's successful transition, exodus, and relocation to West Africa for rebuilding of the communities in the diaspora, African Nuwaupians worldwide, in ECOWAS nations, specifically Senegambia. You got that? Number 4, this is our agreement, to create awareness and identify the needs of diaspora African U.S. Nuwaupians worldwide and the peoples of the Republic of Gambia in order to facilitate and create the proper platform necessary to provide an avenue amicable in assisting those needs. 5, to promote the interests of the diaspora Africans United U.S. Nuwaupians worldwide within the ECOWAS nations, right? Number 6, we agreed to engage in the creation of mutually beneficial economic ventures. 1, example, real estate development, building, housing construction and development, import, export, for the benefit of diaspora Africans, U.S. Nuwaupians worldwide, and ECOWAS nations and peoples. 7, to promote humanitarian services to the needy in the areas of education, health, sanitation, services, agricultural, and general programs or projects geared towards mutual communal empowerment of Senegambia. Right. 8, to promote and create This is what we all agree. Now, I'm telling, when we say to promote and create, this is 15 ECOWAS nations and the United Nuwaupian Nation. That's what this is saying. To promote and create a platform to exchange of language and cultural diversities of the diaspora Africans, right? Diaspora Africans, us all over, we have different languages. Jamaica, Trinidad, UK, Barbados, you have different languages spoken outside the continent, but they're all Africans. And with that being said, we are the leaders of the Africans in the diaspora. We are the leaders of these people who need to come out of the beast, who need to be removed from the system, who need to be removed from oppression and discrimination and racism and all of the other atrocities that this beast have placed upon us. This is an agreement between Africa and us that they will facilitate any progress, any programs, platforms to exchange who we are with them, right? So it goes in number 9, to promote lawful activities. To promote lawful activities. So none of this is illegal. None of this is fraud. Everything we're doing is by way of Panatharu. By bringing us back home, we have the ability to work and partner with governments that's going to facilitate us there in order to build, in order to import, in order to export. So we're creating the jobs, creating the avenue. So any Nuwaupian who wants to make the transition, all you have to do is come through the UNN Embassy African Diaspora Forum, and we can place whoever we need to build whatever we need to build in any of the 15 countries under our president, our true chief. All of this is done by way of him, because he was the one that put this thing in motion. We're just the ones to follow up and obedient and pay attention and not veer off and go into other areas like these offshoots have to create dissension. We stand focused, and this is the blessing that takes place out of that, creating commerce. Exactly. When you create commerce, you create what? Recognition. That's all it is. When you're able to do business with other nations, they acknowledge you as such. And if you do it the right way, such as we have as an embassy, right? Because the embassy is acknowledged in the international community as the instrument and the entity that speaks with other nations, representing other nations. We represent our nation, 30,000. So contrary to what I seen this video where this guy said Nuwaupians, they still contracted under the U.S. No, we're not. You're not contracted under them, because simply every last one Nuwaupian who received the birth certificate without your consent, right? You cannot be binded to a contract that's not of your consent. You did not name yourself. You did not issue a birth certificate signed by you. It was something that your parents were forced to do in order to receive the benefits of the state or the environment in which you were born in. So those contracts of birth certificate, Social Security, right? Any one of those contracts are null and void, because they fall under the doctrine of an adhesive contract. And an adhesive contract is a contract that you're forced to sign, because if you don't, it will be against you, your own survival. So you're forced to sign a document of to say, well, this is my birth certificate. You didn't agree to that. You didn't agree to a social security number. You didn't agree to those things, so those contracts are null and void. You can't put a person, a living flesh and blood Nuwaupian, with a true identity, identifying yourself as a tribal member. You cannot force them under or into a contract with another state without their consent. So all of the contracts that all Nuwaupians worldwide, if they sign with a state that's outside of their own state of Nuwaupia, is null and void, and this is law. All right, so people think they know what they're talking about. I got over 15,000 worth of law books specifically to address all realms of law for our nation, whether it's the law of sea, the law of commerce, the law of treaties, international law in the Supreme Court, international law in the ICJ, international law in the International Court, Criminal Court, African international law, African human rights law. All of those realms of law are available. The law of international responsibility, right? Colonialism and the laws of decolonization. All of that is within the embassy, right over there. You see it all at that bottom shelf. You see that bottom shelf here? Right there. Half these guys can't even afford the type of these books, those books there. Let me just show you so you can kind of see. So you know that we're not playing no games with nobody. All right? They talk about the United Nations. They have no clue that the United Nations has this book right here, this set right here, right? This book right here, this set, United Nuwaupian, United the Charter of the United Nations. This is a $600 set. These guys can't afford that. This is what the money goes into when you truly about freedom fighting. You see this Vienna Convention of the Law of Treaties here? This set right here is $600. You see this Law of International Responsibility? This is a $700 book right here. You see that? This whole set, immigration law. Got that? Right? International Law of Treaties. The Law of Nations. This is spoken of in the Constitution. Most people don't even know what the Law of Nations is. This is the Law of Nations right here. This was the nation was founded. The U.S. was founded on the Law of Nations. If you don't have this, you don't know nothing about the contracts in which you're in, right? You go here, International Court of Justice. See that? This is a $600 set. And the digest of judgments and advisory opinions. So you have to read these things in order to understand what's going on. This is not something no fly by night that we're doing. All right. So I just want to. There's another set here. I'm gonna show you so people can be made aware of the seriousness of it. You see that? What does that say? This is the law and procedures of the International Court of Justice. You see that? We can get in the International Court of Justice. We know how that procedure takes place. This is the statute, statute of the Court of Justice. This is look how thick this book is. This is a $500 book here by itself, right? And this is what I do to invest in our nation, to invest in our freedom. You got that? So these guys talking trash, they don't really know. They can't show you this type of information. These guys is pulling up statutes. Look at this. Georgia Land Surveying Law right here. You see that? Georgia Land Surveying Law history of this is the whole entire history of Georgia. We dissected it word for word. You see that? Those are footnotes and bookmarkers to know that, to show you that I read every last book on this show. All right? These are markers here. Show that I study these books. This immigration law here, this has to do with this has to do with our father's freedom. Right? Let me show you this. See that? Immigration law. This law right here is responsible for how he gets repatriated, how we move and go over, how we his deportation, and the law that takes the courts, the immigration courts, and where he will have his hearing for deportation, for repatriation. You see what I'm saying? This book right here, look at this. $600. Look it up. You can look it up online. What is that? Supreme Court. This is the latest edition, the 10th edition. You see that? It's been read. You see this? All through it. So we're ready for the Supreme Court. And you know, I spend my days and nights in this freedom fight. I'm not no fly-by guy that you think you can just make a little video and I'm going to keep going and you're not going to be addressed. See this? Native American place names right here. None of those names of that chief, none of those names are in here from his tribe. His tribe is not in here. His so-called Yamasee is in here. Georgia is in here. You see this? Last Americans. Protection. What's this right here? Let's look at that. What is that? Protection of officials of foreign state according to international law. Am I doing my homework? Yes. Document authentication. See that book there? That's for document authenticity. See this? Diplomat's Handbook. You follow that? You see that? This is a book that protects diplomats, myself, the embassy, our president, and anyone else that is a part of the freedom fight that's working internationally. A Diplomat's Handbook of International Law and Practice. Another $300 book. You're not going to see these guys get these because they don't invest in education. They don't invest in knowledge or information the way we've been taught. You see that? The Settlement of Disputes in International Law. Institutions and Procedures. There's more to it here. I can go on and on. But I know you get the point by now. So my point is, right? I got some other stuff here too. Let's see. This is a law test you have to take. This is the book you have to study when you want your law degree. Did I pass the book? Yes. Did I pass the test? Yes. Have I taken an oath to the bar? No. Right here, the LSAT is called. You see that? LSAT. Premium 2016 through 2017. In Search of York. Right? This is the book that it mentions Dr. Malachi York and his descendancy, his family. All right? See that? Let's keep going. Winning an appeal brief. What is this? International law documents here. See that? I'm going to keep going because the law of contracts. See that? And the Uniform Commercial Code. You see that? Keep going. I'm going to keep going. Reading law. See that here? Reading law. All right, let's keep going. United States Protocol. When we're in contact with the U.S. and we're dealing directly from official and from government official, myself to the State Department, this is a guide to official diplomatic etiquette. It's a procedure in how you deal with diplomats and how you speak with diplomats. You don't walk around with goofy looking feathers claiming to be somebody important, filling out a federal employment identification form and claiming that it's going to cause you to become freedom. This is the fools that y'all listening to. Guide to international law. What? Guide to Latin. Why? Because Latin is the terms and the words they use in international law. I can go on and on, but I'm not going to go through all of it because there's a host of documents and things that I want to get to. But for the record, I just wanted to show y'all that so you can see that, you know, these guys that are playing games with our souls and our freedom, they're not really doing their homework. They just throwing stuff out there and they misleading people. But back to the document, back to what's at hand. This document here, right? Go back to this, right? This here is our international agreement, one of them, that's been signed on behalf of us, the United Nuwaupian Nation, signed by several government officials. Here you can see they stamp of approval, right? What is that? City Mayor Banjul. You have the mayor of, and delegate diplomat of Senegal. Our economic ministers is right there, right? Our economic minister's signature. Raw Charles and Amir James. And then you have myself, Ambassador Dr. Doosua York, chair of the DAF and ambassador of UNN. And it says specifically on the back, the filing of these constitutional articles of the International Diaspora African Forum under, right, the Embassy of the United Nuwaupian Nation shall not be construed in any way to contravene any international laws or internal laws or statutes of ECOWAS nations or Senegambia. So, I mean, that's just one document, right? This is another one. This is in French. See that? I'm just pulling out a few things. I don't even put all my cards on the table like these fools. I just give them a few things to let them know you keep going. We're going to keep going. This is in French, and you can see it was addressed to the president of the United Nuwaupians Worldwide. This was addressed to Dr. Malachi York and the International Diaspora African Forum, U.S. This is a seal from, you know, West Africa ECOWAS governments. You can see it right there. Got me? So just a little something there. I'm not even going to go into a whole lot because I really just think these guys are, you know, they brought a knife to a gunfight. This is another, what does that say? The United Nuwaupians Worldwide International African Diaspora Forum to Banjul, Gambia. Look, can't say we not recognize this is an international agreement signed by the Ministries of Justice. It's a stamp in ECOWAS, an ECOWAS nation that has acknowledged the United Nuwaupians under our seal. I mean, it gets no plain clear. And actually, these are, let me just show you this so you know that we are in West Africa, just in case people don't know, right? Location, where's that location right there? The address of the foundation shall be installed number 10A, Laso Wharf Market, Banjul, Gambia. This is where we are. All right. So the identification and location, just because, you know, just in case you wanted to know how we tied in, what is all this work being done? How are we moving forward? That's the official stamp of the Ministries of Justice. This is acknowledgement of Nuwaupians Worldwide. That's just another document. So we gave you three. This is another certificate of occupancy of our embassy and consulate in Gambia, Senegal, ECOWAS nations, a butter knife. So that's us. So I'm not going to go into a whole lot because you know what people like to do. They like to take it and start, you know, thinking they can, thinking that, you know, I don't know what the devil's at work, but we're smarter than that. We're in a whole different bracket when it comes to the family to see exactly just a portion. That's not even I'm laughing because when I pulled out the documents that I wanted to show, so you can see everything is stamped, signed, sealed, and delivered, right? I was laughing because while people are talking, we doing work, and as we doing work, the facts are piling up in our favor so incredibly that, guess what? There's nothing the six ether forces can do. You know, there's nothing you can do against us to try to hurt us or bring us down because we're already free. So we're not going back under your program. We're not signing no SF181 form for federal employment. We creating economic institutions. That's what we did on Tamaray. We created employment. We created jobs. We're the creator of these things. We don't go to a person and say, can you do this for us? Can you access? Can you give us freedom? No, we take our freedom. We take our liberty. We take our survival. We're going to make sure that our president is home in Africa. So it's really, you know, I'm not going to get too long. When I think I was on here about an hour or so, but I just wanted to touch bases with the family again because I told you I was going to do a update, and you know, I just wanted to give y'all a little bit of what's going on. I didn't get the whole thing because the devil's going to try to, you know, they looking, they trying, damn, this guy, we got all of this information, so why isn't he home yet? Baba is coming home. Trust that. Everything is laid out to where you see it, you know, and his court case is coming up. And we're going to Liberia to get the word out. We're about to film, I'm headed to New York. We're about to film a DVD called The Mysteries Behind Closed Doors, Liberian Case of Dr. Malachi York. Is going to be fully edited, available to the public by the second week of September. We're going to pass out 10,000 of them in Liberia to show the injustices of Dr. Malachi York. The billboards are going up. We're going over there, putting our feet on the ground. Make sure our nation, is made aware of everything and preparing. Y'all have to prepare for Africa because it's close. Baba is going to be repatriated. All that is being in place. All that is being done right now, you know, and so it's just a great thing, right? I mean, I'm just excited about everything that's taking place. But if you got any questions, just shoot some questions. I know I've been kind of running my mouth, but if there are any questions, we can address those. We can address those questions real quick. I'm not sure if anybody has any more concerns. But I just want to address the ID. Oh, yeah, I did want to address this. This guy. Where is it? So I'm looking at this paper, right? I'm looking at this paper. Yeah. Okay, he has an affidavit. I threw it. I tossed it. It was so much. Oh, I'm looking for this affidavit that he sent. Okay. All right, so this guy, right? This guy here, what's his name? I don't even know his name. Because he signed his name. First of all, he sends an affidavit with a false name. This is fraud. His name is not Nebu Sin Amun. That's not his name. He's contracted with the United States with his birth certificate. He hasn't shown and proved who he is. So first of all, factually, we really don't have to address this affidavit because it's fraudulent from the door, okay? But I'm going to address it because, you know, that's what we do. And this lies. We are the ones to replace the fraud. We're the ones to replace the liars, the deceivers. So he gets this signed. 24 points of fact, and I'll address it. It's nothing. It's easy work. I can do this with my eyes closed. Right? He puts a few so-called quotes. I don't see any case law in here. He quotes, it says, a matter must be expressed to be resolved. In commerce, truth is sovereign and must be expressed in the form of an affidavit. An affidavit not rebutted stands as truth in commerce. An affidavit not rebutted after 30 days becomes judgment in commerce. Now, honestly, I could toss this out the window because, one, you know, it was presented, it was sent in fraud by the mere fact that the agent that represents this affidavit or this entity is misrepresenting himself because he's contracted under a foreign entity called the United States, and he's a citizen and chattel slave property of that entity. And so he's not even qualified to address a sovereign state such as the United Nuwaupian Nation, nor the embassy, in order to receive a response. But because of our people have questioned it, and this is him. He sent. This is his fraudulent. He acquired a tribal ID, and claimed he did not sign this, but he signed the application, which gives the consent for the signature to be on here. That was done by a computer. It's a computerized signature based on the consent of the signature of the application, which everyone who received the ID, everyone who received their application for the tribal ID receives this automated signature as confirmation that it was signed on the application. So he sends this back as if he's saying something. So he procured this as a double agent, because if you're not a Nuwaupian and you're contracted under the U.S., then you're playing double agent, and he can be brought up on charges by the U.S. for fraud for obtaining a tribal ID, and he's not who he is. If you're saying this is not you, because every Nuwaupian is saying this is me, this is our tribal ID, we know what this is. But he's claiming that it's not him, but he acquired it in fraud in order to try to prove that it's not him. So it's really backwards in his thinking. And so they sent it to this guy, Shibu, and he did a whole DVD on this document.